Get ready to uncover truths and reality of today's politics. Here's your host, Lori Mills.
Welcome to another edition of Uncover California. I'm Lori Mills, your host. Today I'm super excited and I'm wearing a Flynn shirt in tribute to our first guest because he has worked very closely with General Flynn, targeting those that targeted General Flynn and President Trump. One of our major frustrations as American citizens is watching the last 8 years how we haven't had equal justice under the law. Well, today our first guest is retired Lieutenant Colonel Ivan Raiklin, who was a Green Beret, and I'll tell you what, hopefully the next Secretary of Retribution. Ivan Raiklin, welcome to Uncover California.
Hey, thanks for having me, Lori. Appreciate you.
Okay, so we got to talk. I'm going to give you a couple names and a couple cues, and I want you to tell me where they are and what are your plans for them. Okay, where are the Orrs? Where is Nancy and Bruce Orr?
Bruce and Nellie Orr. So you're wondering where Bruce and Nellie Orr are?
Well, yeah, they vanished. Where did they go?
Well, that is a good question. I mean, they were definitely heavily involved in the entire fake Russia hack that, what's his name? I had a conversation about this yesterday with a insider whistleblower that I just met with for a few hours. And those names actually came up. So it's funny that you mentioned them today.
Ooh, God's confirming you need to look at them.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. The evidence shows that the CEO of CrowdStrike, he hired on Nellie in order to basically be the back channel over to Bruce to then concoct. I shouldn't say concoct, but they basically created a draft report saying that the Russians hacked the DNC server. Meanwhile, when you do a draft, there's really no legal risk because then you can just claim, if we were mistaken on anything and everything or lied about it, it was just a draft. And that was the draft that was sent over to the FBI through Nellie over to Bruce to then help facilitate the defrauding of the FISA court. I mean, all these sequence of events has happened. That was just like another line of fraud into the entire spying operation that took place in 2016. And so far, they haven't faced any sort of consequences. What are they doing today? That is a good question. Those are lower level folks that I haven't focused much attention on. But once we get through the first few top level officials with maximum retribution, then obviously we can work those. But on another note, I mean, I would say that maybe it is time to apply a little bit more pressure on those too, so that they can start squirming and squealing against their those that they reported to. So that is an idea. I've been focusing my efforts more on Joseph Pientka III, because I think he is the pivotal top kind of high value whistleblower because he's been bi-coastal and he knows all the players on both coasts. I'm not sure Nellie and Bruce had that level of connectivity that Pientka would. And because they were complicit, I wouldn't expect them to be whistleblowers. Whereas Joe seems to have operated in good faith and properly on the East Coast at a minimum. So we want to give him a little bit of grace and an opportunity to come out. And then if he doesn't come out by September 3rd, then his amnesty period ends. And then we will treat him as we do everyone else on that 600-person deep state target list.
Okay, so let's back this up a little bit.
When I say we, it's me and my team.
Right. So let's back this up a little bit because I'm never going to let go of Russiagate. I thought it was treason. We saw, we saw what happened with General Flynn. We saw what happened. Judge Sullivan's now prosecuting J6ers. Not sure you're aware of that. Super great guy.
I am.
And then we have, Peter Strzok, most of these guys, Andrew McCabe, they were instrumental in pushing the dossier that Hillary Clinton paid for. And I think the frustration for most Americans, including myself, is they are never held accountable. You watched Peter Strzok and Andrew McCabe and Andy Weissman get jobs at CNN and MSNBC. You've seen James Clapper and John Brennan.
John Durham was just there to cover up the previous cover-up, right? Make it look like they were doing something. Because when you look at the witnesses that he called, So in the first trial, when he went after Sussman, the two main witnesses that he called in were Jim Baker, the former deputy general counsel at Twitter, which was the guy that ran the censorship industrial complex and was previously the general counsel at the FBI. And then another guy, Bill Priestap, who was the assistant director for counter intel at the FBI, that wrote the notes. Are we going after General Flynn to get him to lie or to get him fired? Well, they ended up doing both, but then it's starting to backfire on them. So there are a lot of names out there, and all of them need to face maximum retribution. And I think the way we do it, we have to make the assumption that they're going to do everything in their power to stop Trump from coming back in, meaning they're going to continue the assassination attempts. They're going to continue to steal election, using their Republican allies as part of it. Because let's face it, Paul Ryan just last year bribed deviant voting systems, $850 million, right? They said it was a settlement. Well, what did they get in return? I make the assumption that they probably got in return an electoral outcome of their choosing, because deviant voting system has basically a footprint in 28 of the 50 states electoral infrastructure. And so when you've already paid off somebody for $850 million, they're probably going to, and they're aligned where they don't want Trump back in, because then they're going to face retribution. They're going to do everything in their power to steal the election. So then it comes to the question of what mechanisms do we have in place in order to create consequences? And I argue that it's the state AGs and the county DAs. Oh, wait, are you referring to the precedent set already by Letitia James in New York and Alvin Bragg in Manhattan and Fulton Fanny in Georgia? Absolutely. Problem for them is they've set the precedent, one, and number two, the overwhelming majority of our counties and states are represented by red, districts, right? But I get it. Most of these red districts are led by China First Republicans or Israel First Republicans or Ukraine First Republicans. But there are a few that are not of those ilk. They represent Texas First values and America First values, or Kansas First, or Missouri First. And so I suspect that as we start to dig into all of Twitter holdings, the crime scene that Elon Musk talks about, we're going to see transmissions and communications that meet the elements of a crime that violate, in addition to that violated Missouri citizens' rights, first and fourth, and etc., or Kansas or Texas. And then we can start to take these people down one by one, and then we apply the precedent that they set on folks like the Proud Boys Enrique Ontario that didn't even
22 years
was
in
not
jail.
even in D.C. on
22
January 6th.
years in
We're
jail.
We're going to use their precedent to loop in all of the rest of the 600 is the initial phase. And then we're going to do an eye for an eye sort of Leviticus retribution, where we're going to go ahead and conduct, at a minimum, the equal number of J6 defendants that they politically went after. We're going to have evidence to then hold them to account. And in some instances, we may just do a prisoner swap while we await their capital punishment.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there. So
there's a lot.
Three things. You had mentioned earlier CrowdStrike, who also was the company that wiped everything out just like a month ago. Again with Russiagate,
Ukrainian American is the CEO. Tekken, I think.
And we know there's a lot of money being laundered through there right now to keep this war going. It's funny they never asked for a ceasefire there. Too much cash to be made.
Receipts on where the money's being spent.
Yeah, but okay. So
or
this
bribed,
is,
I should say,
as an American. Okay, I have the highest respect for you. You're, Lieutenant Colonel. You serve this country. You're a constitutional attorney. The people of America, even through Russiagate, even through the impeachment 1 and impeachment 2, and watching what happened to fellow citizens on January 6th, we're so frustrated going, oh gosh, justice needs to come, because these people are never going to stop unless they are held accountable. You
Correct.
Say you're working with a team to hold these people accountable. Can the people trust that we will see retribution and furthermore justice?
Yeah, so I mean, the last 18 months up until a couple months ago, I had been working up on, I should say, self-interning as the deep state marauder in the halls of Congress as
I've
I
seen you
identified.
behind Fauci.
Yeah, so as I was up there, I'm basically identifying which members of Congress are willing to go to the mat to then take the necessary actions to hold these people to account. There's very few, right? But nonetheless, I took that opportunity to assess, advise, communicate, interact, synchronize, train, advise, and equip, right? The ones that would be willing to participate in our restoration of the constitutional republic. Again, not that many. So now that we've identified and we kind of helped sync that effort, we also now need to go to the state and county level, right? Which is, and the private sector. So as you've seen over the last few months, some very key individuals are now coming out and supporting the fight for freedom and the restoration of our constitutional republic. Guys like Elon Musk, right? Ken Paxton just completed his slaying of the Bush-Cheney syndicate last year during that fake impeachment on him. So now we have, I argue, the two most influential figures in restoring our constitutional republic are now Texas residents, Texas citizens, and the criminal evidence is within the jurisdiction of the state of Texas, meaning Twitter headquarters moved from California to Texas. So we're now in a position to leverage and request Ken Paxton to subpoena everything, all criminal evidence that Elon Musk's referring to. And he said, Twitter's a crime scene. Well, now he's obligated to provide that evidence to Ken Paxton for actioning. And he has his own, I mean, remember the Twitter files that occurred earlier, those were released before Elon Musk had committed to any presidential candidate. Now that he is endorsed and committed to President Trump to secure the 2024 election, he is now in a position where he, in order to survive as a businessman and as a human being against these people, he has to release way more stuff. Now,
the mother of all Twitter files that you speak
the mother of all
of.
Twitter files, and people are like, release it now. That would be politically dumb to do so. And it would be a business dumb decision to do so as well. Because what just happened last week between the conversation between Elon and President Trump, I say that that was a test run on the servers to see how many attacks would take place, which it did, right? 40 minutes of delay by the FBI and CISA, which warned that they were going to conduct a DDoS attack against election information. Translation, they're going to go after Musk, but he was able to repel that. They were able to withstand about 1 billion views on the platform in 24 hours. And so now he can escalate with even more attention as he tries to take over the #1 spot from CommieTube and CommieSearch in terms of #1 web traffic sites. How does he do that? Well, when everybody's back in the matrix, if you will, after Labor Day, right? When everybody's attention's back in the general pop matrix, because everybody's off of vacation from the beaches, wherever they're at, they're back in their devices and they're paying attention to the political season now. And then early voting starts to kick off not too long after that. And the first debate starts to happen. So I would advise Elon, if he wants to take the #1 spot over CommieSearch and CommieTube, he needs to create such compelling content only on his platform to then overtake that position. And when he does, he has to capture the attention of the American psyche to then inform them of what the Democrats are nominating as being absolutely atrocious to their livelihood, their family, their community, everything. And on the flip side, promote who he has endorsed. So then that creates conversation, and engagement, thus increasing the viewership of X, making it a more influential platform for advertisers to now want to come over to utilize because that's where it's the attention game. So from a business perspective, his engagement and viewership increases, making him more money, thus more influence. And number two, you want to time it politically so that it informs the debate. Just like remember the CIA spies who lied, the 51?
Oh,
in order
yeah,
to inform
including
Joe
James and
Biden's
John.
debate?
Yep.
Why don't we inform the first debate? And actually, you know what? If I was talking and speaking to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Donald Trump and Elon Musk, I would recommend that they host a Twitter space between the three of them conversation where they discuss the newly released. Let's just say it's released on September 3rd. Why not let America chew on that new mother of all Twitter files for 24 to 48 hours and then host the conversations, particularly now that Kamala Harris, as of a few hours ago, earlier today in the wee hours, said that she wasn't going to debate Donald Trump. Well, in that case, let's have 2 billion people watching the conversation between Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and RFK Jr. Why do I say it's going to be 2 billion? Well, because how many people did RFK manage to have at a massive rally in Europe when he was talking about the Fauci COVID funded, or I should say the Fauci funded Wuhan Institute of Virology lab incident?
The bioweapon.
Right? Exactly. So I suspect that conversation will be very interesting and sticky as those three then discuss the newly released Fauci files, which is one of the categories of the mother of all Twitter files, because that hasn't been released yet. Right. The question is why? Maybe it's about the timing, huh? What else? What about then proof of the communications through direct messages and the portal of Twitter between the fake governor of Arizona as she stole the election from Kari Lake when she was Secretary of State through the censorship industrial complex? What about Elon? You continue to expose the FBI, CISA, and then who at the Office of the Director of National Intelligence specifically was behind the censorship industrial complex and the electoral heist of 2020, and then explain to America that our electoral system is still pretty much the same as it was in 2020 when the following people with direct evidence of it stole the election.
Right.
And then it would be interesting to get everyone's take, meaning Elon, Donald, and Robert's take on this censorship industrial complex. But now it's not just them talking. It's 2 billion people listening in, tuning in as they're talking. Particularly a majority of Americans will then gain access to it. And X then becomes the number one platform going into the electoral cycle. And guess what? You continue to leverage that attention to then continue to inform, train, advise, equip the voter to demand that their state legislatures vote to allocate their electors for that state rather than having a election under the current fraudulent system. And what happens if we do it that way? It's free, fair, transparent. It can be live streamed on X, Rumble, Truth, and C-SPAN. And then we'll see if everybody votes by political party under that construct. The Republicans control 274 electoral votes by legislative body at the state level. And then imagine a state rep that's a Republican on TV live votes for the Democrat nominee. What will happen to him?
Oh, they'll be done. You know, you had brought up Paul Ryan and Fox News as well. Paul Ryan, I remember the emails that he did with Mike Pence before Pence was on the ticket.
Yes.
And they were scheming against Trump then. And when Trump picked Pence for VP.
They never stopped scheming.
Exactly. So, you know, again, there's just so much that has happened. And, you know, the fact that Peter Strzok just got $2 million from the DOJ is disgusting. And Lisa Page, got $800,000? Again, I want these people to pay, Ivan. And, Even you mentioned the Twitter files 1.0, that the first ones that broke. I was one of those millions of Americans in 2020 that was wiped out. They took my business pages because I posted about Miranda Devine's article about Hunter Biden's laptop. Well, I was censored. And then when the Twitter files came out and Elon gave me my voice back, which should have never been taken, we did find out the Department of Defense was working against the American people. We found out the FBI was working against the American people, the CIA working against the American people. And these are tactics you as a military man know our country is used to take down other governments. What do you see with those people that have been involved in those aspects of this crime?
I mean, my main goal for all of them, and many of them I have listed on my deep state target list, and they're squirming, right? Because they're deploying resources, assets, attention to try to discredit me, right? At the end of the day, I'm nobody until you start to label me as a threat. And then that gives me the information I need to double down on what I'm doing, because obviously it's being effective. And so they're trying to discredit anything that I'm working on, which is the national coordination with sheriffs, district attorneys, attorneys general, friendly members of Congress, and other individuals in our institutions to go ahead and lock arms as we start to confront these criminal, the Biden criminal syndicate and everyone else. And the beauty of it kind of, though, is that there's probably near 100,000 of us that already have proven what we're going to do when it comes down to illegal orders. I'm talking about the DOD jab mandate. And so it's just going to be a continuance that it doesn't take that many of us to be able to autocorrect what the lawlessness is going on right now. Like I talked about before in the viral videos, there's 80,000 plus of us clamoring to be deputized. That's not hyperbolic. I would be on, like, why? If you've seen some of my latest content, one of the reasons I'm training for the Army 10 miler, as I publicly say, is so that I am physically and mentally prepared to conduct a very effective, legal, moral, and ethical action where I am deputized by the appropriate competent authority to lawfully conduct a live stream swatting raid.
Oh,
okay?
and may I
and
add
I
really quick, really quick, I want to be one of those independent journalists that get to go on a ride along and film.
Perfect. So it requires like preparation, mental capacity, right? Rehearsals. But at the end of the day, everything I advocate is maximally within line of the law and then within norms and principles laid out by what traditionally we'd consider as legal, moral, and ethical path. And so I say this, peacefully and patriotically, right? And then when the reporter said, "Oh, it doesn't," when you're doing live stream swatting raids, it doesn't sound peaceful, and well, guess what? Ask Roger Stone if it was peaceful when they kidnapped him.
With his
Peter
wife,
Navarro
and his wife had cancer.
How he felt when he was kidnapped. Ask Steve
Bannon
what he thought when he was swatted multiple times, or when Marjorie was swatted multiple times, or when ask the family members of those that were murdered by the jabs and the DNA mutilation injections, right?
Right.
So, or ask Elon Musk when he was duped into mutilating his child.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Elon Musk mutilated his own child. So
yeah.
I think he's now awake and he's on board to come after these people. I mean, think about it this way. If you're a parent and you have somebody mutilate your child, you're just going to sit there and watch it happen? No.
Yeah, well,
in my household, you try that, or you try to even infer anything in that direction, you will get immediate Second Amendment instruction. Immediate. And I'll deal with those consequences that occur after that, okay?
We're in California, and as you know, Gavin Newsom just passed and signed into law what is called Assembly Bill 1955. With this bill, they can now transition our kids without parental consent. They can hide it from us, which is just disgusting. I don't know how.
So, yeah, I don't understand why. I don't understand why men in California are allowing this to happen.
Right. And so one of our biggest scumbag, traitor, treasonous pieces of shit, excuse my language, is Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff is in California. He's in Los Angeles. George Gascon is the DA, who's not going to prosecute anybody. How do we get Adam Schiff?
How do we get Adam Bullshift, Eric Swallowswell, Mad Maxine, Gavin
all these
Newscomb,
commie Cali people,
Nancy Piglosi, and the rest of the California cabal?
Yes.
I'll say this, since this is being aired publicly. Think about be a very creative thinker, and then use the most unconventional means that you can creatively think of in order to, I like to use the frame, and this is separate from your question, pause, break. I like to use the framework, castrate the deep state and crush the commies. So what does that mean? Well, if they want to advocate the castration, mutilation, maiming, tearing body parts off of children, then maybe, just maybe, you need to refer to Leviticus. An eye for an eye.
Well, they do need accountability for sure. You know, just Adam Schiff is still out there lying. Have you been watching this fabulous DNC lie-a-thon?
Oh, yeah. Actually, one thing that stuck out to me was when Jamie Ratskin called on the hanging Mike Pence. Did you see that?
Yeah.
He used the terms hang Mike Pence. So this guy, Jamie Ratskin, is advocating violence across the board, okay?
Yes.
In order to maintain power and cover up the Fedsurrection illegal electoral heist that he was complicit in covering up for. Because remember, he was the lead impeachment manager for the Fedsurrection cover-up impeachment, right? Also known
the
as
one where they deleted all their emails.
Insurrection promotion.
And
no, but that was the impeachment. So he was involved in two capacities: the insurrection promotion / Fedsurrection cover-up, and then he was part of the impeachment. The Mike Pence beloved Liz Cheney, and then the Nancy Piglosi beloved Benny Thompson January 6th Fedsurrection cover-up committee is the long form title of that committee that occurred last Congress. So
yeah, it's pretty interesting
to get
too.
Your point about the DNC, this guy Jamie Ratskin, if you don't recall, about a week ago, he said that he's going to create civil war conditions. Oh, interesting, Jamie. And it's very interesting if you do that. I don't live too far away from you across the river. It's going to be interesting how this gets, okay? Because I love when it gets interesting. We'll leave it at that.
You don't have
by
fear.
The way, I'd like to remind the audience that his wife, Sarah Ratskin, was one of the 39 government officials that illegally unmasked and spied on General Flynn. Jamie Ratskin and his wife, Sarah Ratskin, are the dynamic duo. I mean, they're basically at the level of the twin traitor, the two twin traitor Vindman brothers, right? The treason runs
a lieutenant
in the family,
colonel
in the Ratskin family. Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, that scumbag blocked me on X after I posted one thing on his account.
Yeah, he blocked me, like 6 months ago. He doesn't like me either. It's funny how they like to spew lies, but the minute you call them out, they block you. So they're cowards and they're treasonous scumbags. They all need to be held accountable. I want to do ride-alongs with you guys. And again, the American people are crying out for justice, for equal justice under the law. We are rooting for people that want to save our constitutional republic. Our 30 minutes went super fast, Ivan. Please let everybody know where they can find you.
I'm on X as long as Elon allows me to conduct my free speech activities. It's Ivan Raiklin, also on Rumble and Substack primarily.
Okay, well, I want you to come back again. I appreciate so much that you came on today, and we will talk soon.
Thanks, Lori. Appreciate you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, everybody, stay tuned for our East Coast sister, Karli Bonn'e, as we talk about what's happened at the DNC and dig into all things Trump and all things anti-Kamala.
Welcome to the MAGA Mall. We have the largest selection of the finest quality MAGA caps and Trump caps that are made. We have over 250 hats and 1,000 different products in 28 product categories. All the caps are made from premium cotton twill. Everything on them is embroidered. As a matter of fact, in the last election cycle, we donated over 45,000 caps to Trump-endorsed candidates and conservative causes all the way across America. And you can buy any of our products by going to our website. It's at themagamall.com, like on the sign over here, and use promo code CALI, and that's for Uncover California. That will get you a 10% discount off of all of our products and also help this worthy cause. And remember, it's always a MAGA day at the MAGA Mall.
Welcome back to Uncover California. You know, you guys, we always have to see what's going on the commie East Coast from the commie West Coast. And so I'm super happy once again to bring in the magnificent Karli Bonn'e. Welcome to Uncover California.
Hello, my darling. From the East Coast, here we are.
How's it going? Okay, so I was overhearing something when I'm sitting in here, and you got to fill me in. So you were watching Trump, and what happened?
He's doing a press conference right now, but it's more like he's making statements about law and order, and it's like the second thing he's done like this, and it's just very dark. You know, he's talking about the illegal immigration and people and children. He was describing a 10-year-old boy that was raped and murdered. Yeah. And it's so dark. And it's like, he's basically, you know, they're accusing him all over, you know, because they're on this joy kick, the Democrats, and that he's, you know, he wants everything in America's dark and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, basically, he's showing people and he's telling people what's really going on, and the DNC and the dancing around is not reality.
No, it's not. And you and I both know they have their buzzwords. They've had them from a year. When Trump built the wall, it was his vanity project. When Trump did anything, it was a constitutional crisis. You know, then JD Vance is weird. You know, from the people that give kids sex changes.
I know. Wait, you inboxed me last night and said, Karli, you got to fill me in on the DNC last night. I sat through that hot mess all day.
Did you? Okay, so
talk about weird. These people are weird. And they opened this morning. I don't know if you had the pleasure of seeing this video. It looked like a bunch of cat ladies being strangled singing the national anthem. And it's like, oh my God. You know, but Republicans are weird.
Yeah, well, and again, it's just a buzzword that they use with their little Operation Mockingbird to brainwash people. And that's why they keep saying weird, weird. But I do like how our side is starting to take back the narrative and we throw it right back at them. And that's the way it needs to be done. Yeah. So, okay. So I missed the convention yesterday because I took my little grandson to the beach and we had the best time. And then I came home and I turned it on. I'm like, I may as well watch. And who did I see but Hillary? And I just couldn't. I almost threw up in my mouth. So I had to just turn it off. I just couldn't watch her. That whole looking at the sky and you know, she just drives me nuts.
Working at the university, you know, she teaches at a university now. I think, you know, she's learned to be a little bit more dramatic, you know,
Yeah.
And it was what I found amazing is they gave her like this standing ovation that like went on forever.
Well, they had to
but
push Joe later so everybody would go to sleep before he came on to throw.
they blamed all the applause on why it ran so long. I mean, they had to take out what's his Sweet Baby James was supposed to sing, and a few other people were supposed to talk, and they had to cut it down because we were hitting midnight. And I heard Joe Biden was losing his, what, in
Did
the
you
back.
did you stay up for it?
I stayed up for the whole thing. I
Oh,
stayed
good
up
God.
for Heil Hitler, Joe Biden's speech with the shaking, and he added the veins bulging, and the KKK and the Fine People hoax, and he did all his greatest hits. It's like and he had extra work done. His face was nice and smooth, and he had the beady little rat eyes, and the whole thing. He just didn't have the red background, but he went through all his greatest hits. But we all have to remember something as they attack us and they attack President Trump. Thank you, President Trump.
Amen.
From the bottom of our hearts for keeping Hildebeest out of the Oval Office. Because if anything was proven last night is, my God, we had 4 years of peace and prosperity. Can you imagine if she had won? We wouldn't be here right now. I guarantee you. It would have been scorched earth and we would have been hit by a nuke.
Well, the destruction we've seen over the last 4 years is unbearable. They want to talk about children and everything. They're the ones that lost 85,000 migrant children.
Oh,
Ms.
no.
Borders-Czar.
May I correct you on that?
Oh, please do.
This came over the wire a few hours ago. A wild new report has dropped today from the DHS Inspector General. Over 290,000 children have come across the southern border illegally under Biden, and they are unaccounted for.
They don't know where they are.
290,000. I mean, we have the 85,000 number from months and months ago.
Well, it was a year ago. Yeah, Tara Lee Rodas had.
And there's a whole thing out from the Inspector General. Greg Price put this out. I also have it up. And it has the link to the DHS Gov site.
Oh, I gotta get that.
Anybody wants to look at that?
But where are these kids, Karli?
I mean, how do you hide that many kids?
Well, they're being trafficked for sex and labor.
It's not just even the sex trafficking. A lot of them are it's slave labor. So when you hear Trump today being so dark, he's only talking about a few different cases that we know about of murderers. And he said, but when he started talking about the 10-year-old boy getting raped, I'm like, wow, we're going to a very dark place.
Yeah, well, I think there was a 14-year-old girl raped yesterday, too. So there were 2 kids raped by illegal immigrants yesterday.
Going through a whole
and it's
list,
kind of,
and you remember, raped.
Yep. And do you remember like a month or two ago, Joe Biden and somebody, I think it was Anthony Blinken, went down to meet with the president of Mexico. And I'm hearing that Mexico now is holding the migrants for the election because they want to say that the numbers are down. But I will guarantee you, if Kamala Harris wins this election, we will not have a country. We're not going to have a country. We're done.
Well, also, I think we have terrorists embedded.
Oh, big time.
President Trump was talking about that today, too. He's saying, in 2019, and he was actually saying, he says, I don't think the number's correct, but it said I had 0 terrorists cross the border. And he said, I don't believe it because, they sneak in and whatever. But we have embedded terrorists.
Yeah.
And that parade, I forgot who tweeted that out. That parade of the Taliban with all our equipment that third
pissed
year
me
in a
off.
row. No, but that was a show of strength saying anytime you want, we're ready.
That's so
tells
scary.
cells within our own country. Hey guys, look, they want to come back to Afghanistan. We're ready.
Yeah,
we
with
might
your
even
equipment.
have China on our side because they got Bagram. We didn't take Bagram. We gave it back to China.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we have China on our side. We probably have Russia on our side now. And it was originally Russia that went into and was fighting fighting Afghanistan. I mean, it's
Right.
just the whole chessboard has just been flipped, and it's all the same players, but their allegiances are different. It's like playing what is it, the Dungeons and Dragons kind of game. New allegiances are going on.
Well, and if we want to get into biblical prophecy, because I'm all about eschatology, I love that stuff. China and Russia and Iran in all of world history have never been aligned. And guess what the Bible says is in the end times they will be aligned. So
that's why they align, and we go into Magog and
Gog and Magog and
the whole final battle. I pray to
I'm
Lord
praying for God to give us more. I want God to give us all more time. There's so many people I love that I want to, come back to the Lord and get right with the Lord. And you know what? I know that President Trump, this is our shot to take this country and world back and to stop all this chaos, to stop all this war, to stop all this human trafficking, and to get law and order in our country again. I am so concerned that if we don't get it back, the unequal justice that we have seen from this Department of Justice, the DOD, the FBI, the CIA, these guys need to just get freaking held accountable for everything they've done. And if they're not, I just don't know where we go from there.
Well, you have to understand, too, God gives us all freedom to choose.
Correct.
All right? Whether he likes it or not. And this choice, like Trump says, this is the final battle, because if we lose in 24, that's the match has been lit. Okay, all the entities have been aligned, and I know a lot of people tease the evangelical community or believers. They tease and say, oh, the doom and gloom. They think Trump is the chosen one. It's not a question of he's the chosen one. It's the agenda.
Right.
To keep everyone safe and to stop the horrific things going on. I mean,
and I do believe God saved Trump.
They got a vasectomy bus and abortion pills. They got women dancing down the street as abortion pills. This is the party of pro-life. I don't think so. This is like the party of death.
Yes.
And you don't think God sees that? And he's just sitting there going, keep going. It's like when you took Christianity out of the schools, banned it completely. Then the school shooting started.
Yep.
When you remove God from a place, you remove your protection.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. 100% with that.
So here's the Democrats. They pretend to be Catholics. They pretend to be a Christian or whatever. It's all pretend.
Wolves in sheep's clothing.
Because
did you see?
They don't have God to secure them. They got to put up 3 layers of unclimbable wall around the convention center. Now, did we need that at the RNC?
No.
Did we have walls put up around the RNC? Were there people, protesting? There was a few people yelling and screaming, very small group, but nobody trying to break in and hurt anyone. No one had to put false names at the hotel for fear of their life. Now, today there were bomb threats at hotels.
Well, you know what? They created this monster. Let's not forget, these are the same Antifa people. These are the same BLM people. These are the funded by George Soros, Arabella financial people. These guys celebrating Hamas and terrorism are the same people that burnt down Kenosha.
Protection.
Yeah.
You understand? They're basically having abortions like sacrifice.
Blood sacrifice.
I said, oh, it's going to be one of those blue moons during the DNC. Are they going to be sacrificing chickens? And someone messaged me back and said, no, Karli, they're actually sacrificing children in a bus outside. And I was like, oh my God. And also castrating men.
You know, the only good news with all of this could be that we might outbreed them.
Well,
and it's just
that's the open borders. They don't want their own. They
right.
want to bring in slave labor.
Right.
But, eventually, these people they're funny because they think they're going to live forever. They think they're going to get hooked up to a chip or AI or robot bodies or something, injecting young blood into their veins. I mean, they think they're not going to die. I mean, just look how many old people, octogenarians, are running the DNC. We got fresh blood coming in. Oh, Kamala's young. Yeah, and who's a running mate? So he's only 60 and he looks older than me. I'm 62.
Yeah. Well, and he's a fraud too. Kamala's a fraud. I mean, you look at what Kamala did out here before going to D.C. She prosecuted the journalist that uncovered that Planned Parenthood was selling baby body parts. She, was dating a married man, Willie Brown, and, there was prosecutions going after the priest that had been abusing children. Guess who shut it down? She did. She's a fraud of the just extraordinary measure. She's just horrible. So let's
Trump
go back to
about her today. He said,
oh, what did he say?
Well, he said, I know Kamala. That's all he said. I know Kamala. You don't know Kamala. It's almost like he's holding stuff back about her because he was friends with Billy Brown. Remember, Trump was a Democrat. He gave money to these people's campaigns.
He gave $5,000 to her.
Yeah. So he knows them all. They all loved him at one point. He was, he was part of the, but he left the they call it the Democrat plantation. He left the plantation and he knows all their secrets. So they have to destroy him because he knows too much. I guess he didn't go through the final initiation that I hear that they do over there in California. I don't know if they're doing those very evil initiations here in New York too. We have MS-13 back. They're doing all kinds of devil worshiping. I just hope Long Island doesn't get taken over again.
Well, you have Tren de Diaguas as well, which is even more violent than MS-13 are here.
They're animals.
Yeah.
And it's just as scary as hell. But
now,
he knows things. When Trump says, I know things, and people say, oh, he's full of it. You don't hear Democrats saying he's full of it. You hear other Republicans that don't like him, the fake Republicans.
Kinzinger?
Yeah. He's going to speak. God help us.
He's not a Republican. I don't know why he keeps faking that he is.
It fits the narrative.
Right. Okay, so back to the DNC. I want to ask you a question. Being a New Yorker, what's up with AOC's fake accent? She always tries to sound, she's always trying to sound like, I'm from the hood. I'm Jenny from the block. And isn't she like from Westchester, which is like a ritzy part of New York?
Yeah, very ritzy. She's saying, and people want to put me down for being a waitress. Well, I'll be a waitress. She was a bartender. I thought she was a bartender, but now she's actually demoted herself to waitress. I guess she didn't want. I don't know why she didn't want to be the bartender. They make better tips than the waitress. And but very soon, if Chuck Schumer decides to retire, which if Trump wins, I see that happening, you're going to see AOC going for his seat.
Well, and unless she's
unless Hillary decides to come back, I can see that happening too, because Hillary, she ate up that applause last night and waving her arms and the whole thing. And there wasn't a lot of press about her the following day. There was just a lot of hate. We all hate her.
Yeah.
And a lot of videos and stuff, but she got a taste of it again. I think last night she licked her fangs and she tasted chum.
Well, my team here, we were talking about her a little bit earlier because again, I walked in, saw her, and I was just like, I can't right now. I'll throw up. And they were saying that she kept looking up in the air like this. And
because
I was like,
they finally packed the place later on. I mean, when they first started it, there was nobody in.
See, I thought that maybe she was just trying to catch flies.
No, you know who caught flies, and I made a video of it, was the lizard woman that came in with the Project 2025 oversized book. And every few seconds, the tongue was like, so I did a whole slow motion video and I added this lizard song. I made joke videos about the whole thing last night. I had a complete ball with myself making little videos of these morons. But I wanted, you know who had the best take? You're not going to believe this. The Daily Show, Jon Stewart's Daily Show.
Yeah, I used to love him. Like
well,
when I first
Jon Stewart only does Mondays.
Okay.
And he just makes fun of everybody, but he hates Trump. But the guy he has on Tuesday night did this. Let me see. Does it give his name? Michael Costa. All right. It's a great video. It's on their TikTok account. I put it on my Twitter.
Okay.
But it said this was the convention themes for the 4 nights. Now listen carefully. Monday is for the people. Tuesday, a bold vision for America's future. Wednesday, a fight for our freedoms. And Thursday is for our future. So they got the future twice. I mean, they're repeating themselves.
Well, that's what Kamala does, Yeah, that's how she talks. She like circles back. Our democracy is important because of the people. And the people need to have democracy. Because if we have democracy, our people will feel that their democracy is being protected.
So they're repeating themselves. And you can see from last night how they went over and nothing was timed right. And it was just, it was not done well. I mean,
well, I think they were trying to push Joe as late as possible so people couldn't watch him.
Midnight. I mean, it was insane. And
he had his sundowners for sure.
And who is tweeting about it? Gutfeld, because Gutfeld is doing his show live at 11 o'clock after the DNC is done. And he's sitting there and he's tweeting, is he dead yet? When is he going to come out? He's live tweeting because he's like waiting an hour to do his show,
Oh, how funny.
It's awesome. So anyway, the Democrats are also so lazy that they put out their plan. And let me see, I think he said...
released a very detailed party platform. And you can tell how much time and energy they put into it because they forgot to replace Joe Biden's name with Kamala's. Yeah, and that's not just lazy, guys. It's risky. Joe Biden's going to read that and be like, gas up the Corvette. I'm going back in.
That's funny.
I can't... I don't have it pulled up, but... They mentioned his name, not Kamala's, in the plan. They didn't they just took the old plan and they didn't add her name or replace his name. It's through the whole thing. It's like, if you read what is it, Kamala headquarters tweets, it's like done by drunken millennials.
Yeah. Yeah. In dresses.
Kamala headquarters lies account. And
I saw that. I love that account.
They fact check everything, because they put these bogus headlines that are complete lie.
Right. And
they call them out on them every time. It's a beautiful account. God bless them. They get them every time. And it's just like, remember someone had posted a picture of what it looks like in their little war room? And it was a bunch of women all and drinking and having a good time. And there were 2 little dweebs in the corner on computers, on laptops. Those are the 2 guys that do the actual work. And it was
funny.
All we're so versatile, and we're all different colors, and there's just a bunch of women acting wacky, and the two little geeks in the corner actually doing the work. But I think it's the wacky women that are putting up these ridiculous headlines and all these lies.
Wow.
The party of joy, this campaign of joy, is run by a bunch of juveniles that think they're going to win on TikTok world.
Yeah.
And people used to really come after me because I used to post a lot of TikToks of other people, because I wanted to show that don't ignore TikTok. There's a lot going on over there, and it's not all left wing. And like what Elon Musk did for Twitter, we can do for TikTok. And now Trump is on TikTok. Everyone's got a TikTok now.
Yeah.
But we're winning in that game if we stay at it. There's so many, Joe Biden and Kamala, they invite all these influencers. They're all the influencers running around the DNC, and AOC is like, I love that. I can't wait to meet all the influencers. All right. These are people they're paying.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw
we
that.
We don't get paid for what we do.
Right.
All
right.
the memers that have been doing this for years, all the just regular everyday people, the Black community, Hispanic on TikTok, are just doing this because they see what is happening to their country, and it's for love of country and just love of real freedom, not this fake freedom that they're trying to sell at the DNC. It was so nice they had to repeat the freedom twice.
Yeah. Well, God bless them. So our time is already out. I'm so bummed.
That was so fast.
That was like 30 minutes already. Yeah. But anyways, I have to have you back because we have to regularly check up Call Me Cali and Call Me New York, because we're going to take our states back one day. I guarantee it. I adore you. You are like so much fun. Tell everybody where to.
The East Coast, big hug. Big hug.
And like check this out. I had Ivan Raiklin on this show, and I told him. Yes, but listen. Okay, so I went to the Flynn movie, and I hate wearing men's T-shirts. So I showed him, I'm like, you guys got to bedazzle some of these T-shirts. I had a friend do this for me. I don't want to wear men's T-shirts anymore. They need to make stuff for girls. But anyways, Karli, tell
the first thing to go is the collar and the sleeves.
Yes, feeling like it's up to your neck, and it's just gross. But anyways, okay, so tell everybody where to find you.
Well, I'm Karli Bonn'e on Twitter. It's Karluska, KarluskP on, let's see, Getter
X.
And Truth Social. It's Karli Bonn'e. And it's the Midnight Rider Karli Bonn'e on Telegram. That's the big channel. That's where everything is there. That's where I edit all the videos, and it just goes on forever. It's like it's a stream of consciousness. I just aggregate everything there, and then I put on other pages.
I follow you on X
like
the
my
most.
TikTok account. It's Karli Bonn'e AI.
Why did they take your TikTok?
What?
Did they take your TikToks away?
They've taken like 8 of my TikToks. They don't like Steve Bannon because it was always about this, him ranting about the CCP.
I want Steve back. He needs to get out of jail.
Is clips from the news. I just post news clips, but if they don't like what the news is saying, they give me a demerit and they take me down. So I already got one on the new account already.
I can't stand that. I just can't. It just reminds me of 2020 when they banned us all. It just pisses me off.
Listen, I'm great on Twitter. I'm having a great time, but I'm still like, I look over my shoulder, are they coming for me? Can I really say that? I second guess myself. So I put all my outrageous, like personal thoughts on Telegram.
Okay, well, I'll have to start going to Telegram more. Thanks for coming on. I'll have you on again. I love checking in with my East Coast sister.
We got to get the East Coast and the West Coast. We can't be enemies. We have to be friends, and
100%.
We have to straighten it out.
Yeah, we're not rap stars. We're not rap stars. We don't need to do that.
Everyone's escaping, but no, I'm stuck.
Same
if I
with
have
us.
to be stuck, then
Everybody's
I'm gonna
going to
fight for what's here.
Tennessee. They're going to Texas. They're piecing out of here, but we're fighting for it. I went to the beach yesterday. We've got such an amazing climate. I'm not leaving it to communists. So thanks for coming on, Karli. I will see you on X very shortly. Everybody else, make sure to tune in next week to Uncover Cali, and we are going to have Ted Nordblum on to talk about his state assembly campaign, and then we also may have a special guest, but we're still waiting for confirmation. Have a great week.